Are you ready to expand your life and reality? Join us for the next hour with Jamie Bates as she shares life changing thoughts, techniques, and awarenesses to help you expand your reality.
Hello and welcome. I am Jamie Bates, consciousness facilitator and expander of realities. My mission with my radio show is to create greater awareness of what is possible and to expand you beyond the limitations of this reality. I am grateful that you're joining me today. And today we have a very interesting show for you for many reasons. Number one, as you may be able to hear, I am just a little bit stuffy. I'm getting over a little bit of a head cold. So I'm going to do my best to really muscle through today's radio show because I have such an important message I really want to get out today. And I'm really just feeling it. I was actually considering taking a break this week and not doing a radio show because I was so congested, and the universe has other plans for me. So the topic that I was considering covering, which I am covering today, is called Embracing the Role That You're In. And interesting enough, I had one person reach out to me early this morning and really kind of thank me for giving her the tools of really just that, embracing the role that she's in. And then I had another person just recently reach out to me and say essentially the same thing. And I thought, the universe really wants me to get this message out today. So I am doing it. I am going to go for it, even though I'm not feeling completely 100% yet. And also, today I have both of my birds joining us, so hopefully they don't make too much noise in the background. But kind of limited on time, so we're just going to go for it and embrace the role that I'm in today in this in the facilitator role. And really, today I really just want to talk about embracing the life that you have. Not the life that you thought you would have or the life that you thought you wanted. This is just such an important concept to really truly get into the role that you're in. This is really about encompassing and choosing the role that you have showing up so you can be present with the life that you have, not the life that maybe you feel like you want or you want it in place of. I want to kind of just talk today about, kind of going to go off the hip today. I have some personal experiences I kind of want to share about things that I see in people when they don't embrace the role that they're in. And even for myself, a personal experience that I had a real issue with for a long time. And when I got to the place where I was able, that's key, when you're able to embrace the role that you're in, how much faster you can heal and shift and change your life. So today I'm going to kind of share with you a journey that I had personally went through when I was in resistance of the life that I had because it wasn't showing up the way that I had envisioned it to be, and what that created in my life and how I see that in other people's lives as well. And I want to kind of just, on a little side note, I want to share I had a beautiful woman who messaged me early this morning. I did coaching with her like 3 years ago. It's been a while. And, we talked a lot about embracing the roles that she was in. So many of us, we have so much resistance to the way that our life is showing up and how it's not what we want and how it doesn't have the elements of the life that we want to live, that we when we live in that resistance, we create kind of like almost like an inner jail of a life that we are living. And so she had messaged me this morning and just said, I just want to thank you. I hear your words echoing in my head often. What if you could just be that? What if you could just choose that instead of being in resistance of that part of your life? And she was just sharing with me how really embracing and being present with the way that her life was showing up, how that has just created so many magical experiences for her moving forward. So I just want to say thank you so much for sharing that with me today. I won't say your name, but I do appreciate hearing from you guys, and how my words have helped you create your future, and how my words have helped you to really move forward with your life. So I do appreciate hearing from people, and hearing how uh, they're allowing themselves to really embrace the tools that I teach. So I do appreciate you. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. And so today we're going to talk about that. And, I'm going to kind of take you on my own personal journey of an experience I had that I have talked about before on this show, that um, was an experience I really did not want to have. And it was kind of one of those things that I spent a majority of my life saying, I will never be this, right? And it really, for me, it really began when I went through my divorce. And I'm going to talk about that today, and how I really kind of surrendered to being a divorced parent, even though that was not the role that I ever wanted to play in my life. I never ever wanted to be a single mom. I never ever wanted to be that divorced person. I never wanted to have the things show up for me that showed up, and how, when I stopped resisting that role, how it allowed my life to change. So I'm going to dive into that today. So let's get started today, and let's start with just doing a quick expansion here. So go ahead and take some nice deep breaths with me. Now let's put our barriers down, our barriers down, our barriers down, our barriers down. And let's go ahead and expand out. And if you've never expanded before, basically what we're doing is expanding on our being, not our body, right? Because you are an infinite amount of energy, space, and consciousness, and your body is within your being. So we're going to go ahead and expand out our being, not our body. So let's go ahead and make ourselves as big as the city that you're in. Go all the way out, and all the way down, and all the way out. And as big as the country that you're in. Well, I guess we could do state first. Let's do state first. Go ahead and go out as big as the state that you're in, all the way out, and all the way down, and all the way up. And let's go as big as the country that you're in, all the way out, and all the way up, and all the way down. And as big as the planet that we're on. Bigger, faster, bigger, faster, bigger, faster. And the universe. And the multiverse, multiple universes. And times that by million, times that by million, times that by million, times that by million. All the way out to the space of who you be, as the infinite being that you be. Awesome. So today we're talking about embracing the life you have. So I wanted to share with you, when I went through my divorce, divorce was one of those things that I never wanted to do. I came from parents that weren't together. I came from multiple breakups. It came from lots of chaos between moms and dads as a child. And as a child, it was one of those things that I always said to myself, I will never be or do this, right? Well, then when I got married, I actually was already a single parent. I had my oldest daughter already. I had already kind of surrendered to that, but I knew that I wanted to be married. I wanted to build this amazing life as a married couple, and I wanted to be that for eternity with my children. And so as as my married life went on, there was many things I would say because I had decided that I was going to be married. I didn't see happening around me because I wasn't embracing the life I was living. I was living within the decisions and the points of views that I had decided were going to be real and true for me. And so when I was served divorce papers from the mail lady, I had really no awareness that I was getting a divorce. I didn't have any idea that this was happening to me. And for the first, I don't know, probably year and a half to 2 years after my divorce, um, I continually perpetrated that cycle of not wanting to be where I was at. Right. I did not want to be a divorced mom. I did not want to be in the position where I was sharing custody with my ex-husband. There was so many things that were going on around me that I did not want to be living in. And it was really hard for me to be able to just really function throughout my day because I wasn't embracing the life that I had. I was in this continuous cycle of resisting the life that was showing up for me that I didn't want to be happening. And it caused so much inner turmoil and so much inner grief in my every single day. I mean, I was short. I was angry. I was sad. I continually was perpetrating this cycle of guilt and upset and anger and rage on my children. Even though I didn't want to be an angry mom, right? I was because my life wasn't what I wanted it to be. My life was not showing up the way that I wanted it to be. And it wasn't until I really understood embracing the role that I was in, understanding that like I had to surrender to the life that I had. I had to really truly embrace and encompass the fact that yes, I was divorced. You know how long it took me to be able to even say those words that I was divorced? Um, I mean, I remember for a long time, I just avoided anybody that I would have to speak about it to. There was so much shame and so much upset around the energy of being a divorced parent, of sharing custody with my ex, of I had so much upset around all of it. And it was really truly stopping me from living the life I wanted to live, but it also kept me perpetrating this cycle of wrongness on my children because it wasn't the life I wanted them to live. I almost always had to make them wrong. And I think it was really interesting because when I got divorced, I spent many years alone, being a single mom, healing, really getting clear about who I was and what I wanted. And at the time, I had opened up my healing center. I was, working on other people, helping other people heal. I was really choosing it for myself. I was finding new tools. I was discovering who I was. And I actually, at that time, had met my current husband. And we dated. Well, actually, we became friends. He came into my center a lot. We hung out. He did a lot of classes. We just really got to know each other, got to know who we were. And through that getting to know each other, he kind of learned kind of the same things that I was learning. And we got to kind of go through this journey of healing together without being together, right? I would tell him about, what I was processing through and what awarenesses I was having. And he would share with me what he was processing through and the awarenesses he was having. And anyways, went on like this for, I don't know, about a year or so. And then we started actually dating. And we dated for about a year before he asked me to marry him. And then we were engaged for a little while and then we got married. And, anyways, long story short, um, when we got married, it was really interesting because I was going through even embracing the life I was in, right? Because even getting remarried was not something that I had really envisioned for myself. It wasn't something that I had ever even, I never even wanted to get divorced in the first place. So getting remarried to somebody else again just really had a really interesting energy on it. So me and him worked through a lot of that, embracing where we were at. But what was interesting was while we were doing that, um, we were working through kind of our own insecurities about embracing the life we were in, and we started to discover that his mother really couldn't embrace the life that we were living. um, eh, she had a lot of points of views about the way that we lived our life. Number one, it was a lot of how dare you choose that, and you should be ashamed of yourself, and a lot of this projection of wrongness. And what always came through to me, and what was always really loud and clear, is things that she would say like, you know my husband is a twin, okay, and she would say things like, I never wanted to have boys. I never wanted a boy. I was a hairdresser. I always wanted a girl. I always wanted a girl, right? I always wanted to do her hair, and she sewed, so she wanted to make fancy dresses, and I never wanted a boy. She would often say that, and I have three girls, so it was always kind of like, directed at me, like, oh, you're so lucky you have three girls. I never wanted a boy, right? Well, not only did she have a boy, but she had two boys. Okay. And she would say things like how she never wanted twins, and how she had twins, and how overwhelming it was, and how she never wanted a boy. And I totally can sympathize. I totally understand how overwhelming and how upsetting that must have been for her. But she spent a lot of time in continually reminding us and reminding everyone how the life that she had was not the life that she wanted for herself. And then how when her husband and her got a divorce and the boys were young, and how overwhelming and how hard it was, and how terrible it was to have two twin boys. And I'm again, like, not at all making her wrong, but one of the things I just always rang so true for me was there was no embracing the life that she lived for her. It was always about what she wanted versus what she had. Right? This is what I wanted. I wanted this, perfect life with a perfect little girl that I could dress up in frilly dresses and do her hair. And what I got was, two terrible twin boys who, drove me to drink, who drove me crazy, who, you know, and it was always this resistance of what she had in her life. And so when we would go over there, it was that same thing. It was always the resistance of what she wished we would choose, right? I wish you would, I wish you would do this, and I wish you would do that, and I wish you would, she had a lot of points of views of the ways that I raised my children. She didn't agree with the fact that I let them eat what they would like to eat. Oh, she would say things like, uh, I wish you would, make them eat a balanced diet. And, I can't believe that, you should be ashamed of yourself for not making them eat, meat. And, all of these, just this constant projection of, instead of looking at really truly what I was creating, and the gift in having children with a choice, it was always this projection of what I wish you would choose, what I wish you would do, what I wish you would, have, what I wish you would, all of, and again, like, there's no room for what's presently showing up in that. It's just a projection and an expectation of a life that doesn't exist. And so oftentimes we would bring that up, like, and we understand that you don't agree with our choices. We get that. Like, we can fully receive that you don't align and agree with the decisions that we're making for our lives. And that's okay. Like, you don't have to agree with what we're choosing. But at the same time, you have to allow us to be what we want to be, or we can't be around you. Because we can't be in this space where it always feels wrong, or you're always telling us what we're doing is wrong, right? No space to embrace who we are being. Just a projection of what you would like or what you think is right versus what is real and true. And it was so interesting to me because what I could see in her was a pattern of where she had lived her entire adulthood in a space where she was not allowed to embrace the life that was in front of her. There was no room for the present moment to show up for her. It was a lot of projection and expectation of a life that she felt was right, good, proper, whatever. Um, but it really had nothing to do with what was really truly showing up. There was no embracing the life that she had. It was looping back into what she felt like she should have and didn't. And everywhere you're doing that, and everywhere you're pulled back into that cycle for your own life, everywhere you're not allowed to embrace the life you have, and all of that, 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 can we just choose to remove all of that from all of your universes? And can we just choose that now? Deeper eyes, 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 deeper eyes. And I don't want to make today's show all about making my mother-in-law wrong, because this is not what it's about at all. And that's not even what I'm really trying to do. What I really want us to look at is we all have these places and spaces in our life where we can't embrace the role that we're in that situation because of whether it's, it's again like not the life we wanted to live, right? It's not the definition of what we had decided we were going to do, or whether it's not maybe the role that we wanted our child to live. Like maybe when she looked at her son, she didn't want her son to marry a woman with 3 kids already who, maybe she wanted her son to have a different life, and that's okay, right? Like I don't want to make her wrong for that in any way, shape, or form. But again, like making someone wrong for the role that they're in and trying to get them to change the role that they're in instead of just embracing the role that they are playing and understanding that. Continuing to perpetrate a wrongness for any role that you are playing in your life, or perpetrating a wrongness for anybody else's role that they're playing in their own life, is actually causing more problems and upset than anything else. And really, the key to truly changing anything is embracing the role that you're in right now and surrendering to what's going on around you and being able to be present in the moment, because the present moment is the only moment that you have available to you to change your life in any way, shape, or form. And I say embracing the role that you're in, but I see this every single day with people feeling bad about mistakes they made, and, worrying about things that they chose and how they're going to create, and worrying about, something they did 5 years ago. I'll never forget this time. I was in high school. I had this really interesting thing happen to me. I had a high school professor. Back in the day, school was just different, right? And I had a high school professor and a student who were actually having an affair my senior year of high school. And it was not a quiet affair. Many people talked about it, and the teacher was quite a bit older than we were as students. And after we graduated from high school, it was never kept a secret. And uh, I remember after we had graduated, the husband left the wife, and um, the wife, or the student I went to high school with, moved in with the teacher. And at that very same time, I actually was working in a local pet store. And I was actually teaching obedience. So I was teaching dog obedience at the time. And I had a student show up shortly after this had happened. Like shortly after I graduated, I was like 18 years old. I had been working at this pet store. I was I had gone through the dog obedience training, and I was teaching dog obedience. And the this woman shows up with this dog, and I'm talking to her, and she's telling me about how her husband left her for a high school student. And she's telling me all about this, and I'm looking at this woman, and I'm like, oh my gosh, is this like really the same woman? And come to find out, it was the teacher's wife. And anyways, I ended up going through doing this dog obedience class with her and her dog, and it turned into so much more than that because, of course, even at that age, being 18 years old and going through all of that, I was still in a space of change, right? And I was still a change facilitator of some sort. So I did do a lot of processing with her, and it was amazing to me how through that whole process of dog obedience, how I was even able to be a certain space for her to embrace that role that she was in. Obviously, she never wanted to be a woman who was left for someone, right? That wasn't her goal in life. It wasn't something that she had seen coming for her or even to her in her life. And so helping her to embrace that space, even back then, I could really see how, again, when you get to that space where you can embrace the space that you're in, not the space that you want to be in, right? That is where the change lies. That is where the true growth happens. So on that note, let's take a quick break here, and when we return, we will continue to talk about embracing the space that you're in.
Awaken and align in 2020. This program is for people who are ready to make big permanent changes in their life, giving you real tools with worksheets and energy exercises to expand your essence that will easily create the expressions of you showing up stronger in 2020. See yourself with the perfect vision as we all awaken and align in 2020. For more information, visit www.jamie-bates.com. The Consciousness Playground is a membership community to support you in living a conscious and aware life. Each month, members receive life and reality-changing concepts. It also includes member-only content and a VIP Facebook group to ask questions and connect with like-minded individuals. The Consciousness Playground currently has instant access to over 150 hours of life-changing audios and exclusive programs, with more added each month. Each and every month has a theme and includes audios and live calls around that topic. This playground has audios worth over $1,500 that you can access all at once. Come learn, grow, expand, and create something different in your life today.
And we're back talking about embracing the role that you're in. And so really this week, I'm actually been working through with the Awaken and Align group. We've been working through taking personal responsibility. And this means like taking personal responsibility for things that you've been or done or chose, or even things that are going on in the current moment, right? Like if you're acting a certain way that you don't want to act, if you're reacting to certain energies that you don't want to react to, right? Taking personal responsibility for who you are, what you're choosing, and being able to shift and change that energy. And in kind of on this process, this embracing the space that you're in kind of goes right in alignment with that, right? Because when you start taking personal responsibility for your life and what's showing up and the life that you're living, you get to see that everything really truly is just a role or a choice in this life, right? We can be really whatever we choose to be based on how we choose to embrace the space that we're in. I can choose to be an encouraging ray of light to my children, or I can be uh, upset, overwhelmed, uh, you know, uh, basket case with my kids. Like, there really truly is a defining moment when you're in the roles that you're in that you truly get to choose uh, what space you're going to be. But only in that moment do you have choice if you're present in the very role that you're playing. Now, one of the things I wanted to kind of say, and I'm going to kind of pick on my mother in law for a moment here, because at one point, um, when we were talking to my mother-in-law back and forth about how she was always projecting what she wanted us to be versus what we were choosing, right? And how what we were choosing was never really good enough for her, and it never really measured up to what she wanted us to be or choose or do. And how there came a point when she had sent me an email and she said, you know I know that you can't see this right now because this is when my girls were younger, but she said, what's going to happen if one of your kids grows up and has a family and decides not to talk to you anymore? How will you feel? What will you do? And I came back with an answer that I felt like was really truly a heartfelt answer. I didn't feel like I was coming back with being mean or wrong. And of course, she took it as I was being mean and wrong. But what I had actually said was, if my children are living a life that really truly, my children are living their life and I go to them and I tell them that the life that they're living isn't good enough, and that the choices that they're making aren't good enough for me, and that I'm ashamed of what they're doing and choosing and being, and I think that the way that they're raising their kids is terrible. And I had said kind of some of the same examples. I used some of the examples that she had actually said to us. I said, then I would expect that my children wouldn't talk to me, because I understand that making someone wrong for the way that they want to live their life is not embracing who they are. It's trying to uh, change them in a way that doesn't. I don't want to say even because I get that she didn't she didn't really receive how we were living our life because it felt so different and so foreign. And I totally get that she felt like she was trying to help us by suggesting that we lived a different way because she felt like that was the right way to live. But understanding that you can't make choices for anybody else, and the only way that you can truly live in a different possibility is to embrace what someone is choosing and to embrace the life that you're living instead of cycling in constant cycle of making what you're choosing or doing or being wrong. And I feel like I have raised my kids in a way that they understand that if they feel bad or wrong about something that they're choosing, doing, being, um, they can make a different choice. And that's essentially what I told her was, I'm not going to live in this place where I feel bad and wrong about my life. I'm not going to live in a place where I have to project bad and wrongness. I'm going to understand that everything is just a choice. And if my children choose to live a certain way, I'm going to acknowledge and allow them to live how they would like to live and give them the space of whatever they would like to choose. I'm not going to make anybody wrong. I'm going to embrace the role that they're choosing to live. And I'm going to let them live that in a way that shows them that I support them no matter what their choices are. We have to give up this element of power and control where we feel like we know better than other people what's going to work for their life. I tell people this is probably one of the hardest things to get when I'm coaching someone is You have to embrace the space that you're in. You have to feel all of the elements that you have created around you. And if you don't like the space that you're in, no amount of projection of wrongness on yourself or someone else is going to change that. I literally have this conversation. I would say on a daily basis, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. No amount of making yourself wrong for something that you chose is ever going to make that choice or you feel better about making that choice. What's going to make you feel better is taking responsibility for the fact that you chose it, apologizing to yourself for choosing it. I'm kind of going through my responsibility process that we just did in our Awaken and Align class. There's a process to claiming and owning the space that you're in and understanding that no amount of guilt or overwhelm or upset or projection of wrongness is going to change the fact of what you have chose, been, or done in your life. You have to embrace the roles that you have been and done. And that's exactly what I told my mother-in-law. If you want to truly change this situation with your son and with our family, embrace the space that you were. You were unkind. You were not nice. You said things that were uncalled for. And the thing is you don't have to loop in making anyone wrong anymore. You can acknowledge that you did that, you chose that, you can apologize, and we can all move forward. I think that's the best part about living in an energetic world like we do. You start embracing the life that you have and you start taking responsibility for the actions that you've done or been or said or chose, and you start really getting clear about the present moment that you're in. And I get that. Even for her, I get that being present with her life means that she has to surrender to the fact that most of her life isn't how she wanted it to be. And I get that that's a painful thing to look at, and I help people with that every single day. So I get how very hard it can be to look at those old patterns and to say, I created this. But I tell you right now, that's key to living a life that works for you. You have to embrace the life that you're living right now. You have to embrace the patterns that you chose. You have to embrace the energies that you created in order to move beyond it. We are officially like 3.5 weeks into the Awaken and Align program. And I am no longer actually taking any new people in that program right now, but I am actually going to um, be having another program that's going to be starting in April. It'll be the same exact program. We'll go over the same exact concepts. And this will kind of be like obviously it'll be the second time around. We will be going over the same concepts as we're going over now, though. And it's just really truly going to be awakening to these old patterns, these old places and spaces where you are not able to embrace the life that you are living. Be really this deep awakening to the patterns, the things that you've been choosing, the things that you want to repattern, really awakening all of those old energies that you're ready to let go of. Embracing uh, the space that you're in right now is key to really being able to move forward in your life. And I thought, this is really a great concept to talk about because, again, like I see it all the time, you guys. I see how many of us get caught in what we wanted to happen or the life that we wanted to live, that we forget that that projection of wrongness and upset is creating something every single day in our lives. You don't want to be 50, 60, 70 years old and still having regrets about what you didn't create. We're in 2020. Today it actually is February 5th, 2020. And this year is all about building form and structure. What do you want to build for your life? What do you want to build for the next 9 years? What do you want your future to look like? If this show is resonating with you and you're really ready to embrace a new space, if you're ready to surrender to that energy, I really I invite you into number one, join the Consciousness Playground. Okay, join it right now. The Consciousness Playground this month in particular, I'm going to be adding a new. A new core program that's going to kind of walk you through. It's going to be called the Conscious Empath, and this program is really just going to be kind of a core program to really go through to learn the basic tools that I teach, okay, to really solidify them in your life. And then from there, there's the whole playground. And this playground, you guys, has so many different things that you can dive into, audios you can listen to really truly change your life. And that Conscious Empath program will lead you to each module that you need to work on. There is so many different audios in there for you to listen to. And then sign up for my new Awaken and Align program that starts in April. And I guarantee you, by the end of 2020, you're going to be armed with new tools. You're going to have new spaces to choose from. You're going to have the life that you desire because I'm going to teach you step by step how to embrace the life that you're living right now, how to let go of those heavy images that you see every day when you look at your children, when you look at your family, when you look at your life and you think how you haven't got where you want to be, how you're not living the life that you want to live. I'm going to teach you step by step how to unwind that heavy feeling that you're feeling every single day and really truly give you the gift of loving the life that you live, having the tools energetically that no matter what is going on around you, you know how to choose for you. There's nothing more important than being able to look at a choice that comes in front of you and being able to say, okay, if I choose this, what is it gonna be like? What's it gonna create for my life? And being able to feel that so dynamically that you know what every single choice is going to create for your life. There's nothing that replaces that. So on this Awaken and Align program, we're very slow. We're going step by step. First, we're awakening, and what we're doing right now, and this is the stages that we're in right now, right? We're clearing those heavy projections of energies that are preventing us from being present in our life. And that includes this topic that we're talking about today, really embracing the role that you're in, taking responsibility for the things that you have created. That's such an important part. This week in particular, we're diving into that this coming up week. We've been doing the responsibility for the situations that you've created, but this next week we're going to be diving into even giving other people responsibility for what they created for ourselves, and really giving ourselves an opportunity and a chance to really heal from those situations from our past childhood trauma that really kind of hang us up still today. And actually, this month in the playground, in February in the playground, every single month in the playground, I do a new theme. And this month in the playground, we're doing childhood trauma. Actually doing childhood wounds. We're kind of repairing the wounds of our soul. And so this week in particular, we did childhood wounds. So yeah, so there's just so many aspects to releasing the energy around situations so you really truly can live a life that isn't a reflection of your past. It's not what's happened to you. It's not what someone's projected at you. It's not, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to relate to what you thought was going to happen. You can be present in the moment right now and you can embrace the life that you would like to live, or the life that you're living so you can have the life that you would like to live. You know, it starts with embracing what's going on right now and understanding that, again, this is the only moment that you have to change. So when you embrace where you're at right now, that is where you can actually start making the shifts and changes. Obviously, you can't change what's happened in the past, right? You can't go back and maybe, you know, not get divorced, but you can change how you relate to your future in a way that you can still create a life that you love, even though it looks different than the life that you had decided you were going to live. So this embracing the role that you're in is a very important part of that. I hope I was able to kind of explain what I was talking about today. There's there's so much interesting energy around all of these concepts because we do hold such an energetic space for all of it. I would love to have you join me again in my playground. I would love to have you join me in the New Awakening line. You know, you guys, we are the future of healing. The work that we're doing right now, each and every one of us is really shifting and changing our bloodlines. It's changing the way that we are creating our future, and it's such important work. So I'm grateful that you're with me. Even if you just listen to my radio show, I'm grateful for you. Thank you for your support. Please, if you're listening to this on Podbean, you're listening to it on iTunes, you're listening to it on YouTube, wherever you're listening, please leave me a comment. Let me know that you listened. Let me know how it helped you. I would love to see your feedback. Really just kind of warms my heart to know that you're listening and that I'm helping you through your awakening and your transition. So thank you so much for listening to me today. And I hope that you took out of this show the message that I was getting across here. It's important to embrace the role that you're in so you can heal and move forward and create the life that you love. And you can visit me online, www.jamie-bates.com. You can share with me there. You can also email me. You can also join me on Facebook, on my Facebook group. It's called The Conscious Empath. I would love to have you join me in there as well. I appreciate you. I'm grateful for you. Thank you so much for listening to me today. And I will talk to you next week. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You have been listening to Expand Your Reality with your host, Jamie Bates. Thank you for listening.